Good morning, it's me, Michael Warbeck. I'm in my studio. Um, this painting, I just started doing it without really preparing for it. I did a quick sketch, but it is quite a surreal, weird, verging on rubbish construction. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to throw detail at it in a vain attempt to hide the fact it's just brutally bizarre. So I've stenciled the flowers, I'm now painting them in with whites, and then I'll do glazes over the top hopefully and make them rich and sumptuous and gorgeous. For those who live in Edinburgh, this is a skyline of Calton Hill. This is Nelson's column. This will be the disgrace of Edinburgh. It was supposed to be the Parthenon on the hill. They built, I think, about 12 pillars and ran out of money in 1808, and it's remained just this kind of rather surreal sculptural piece as opposed to a building. I did a conceptual piece with a last dead friend of mine, Archie Webb, up on the hill. On a snowy cold winter's day we created this big figure splayed across the hill. I don't know if you know, but police, when in the olden days, when they found the dead body, they chopped around the outside of the dead body and then they moved it. Don't know why, but they did. And our piece was basically to dig away the positive into a negative shape by taking the snow away to create this, actually resembled a swastika, but of a splayed figure on Calton Hill. And it was to basically a homage to the dead and the dying on the streets of our fair city and other fair cities of the world, dying in the winter because of the lack of a socialist agenda perhaps, or a community agenda and a fixation with capitalism, which leads to an anti-class of people that unfortunately have come back to haunt our streets again. So we did this huge piece, which obviously was transitory. When the snow went, the figure went, and in the background was the disgrace of Scotland / Edinburgh. Again, it was thematically fascinating. Pillars, establishment, classicism, blah 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 blah. STV, Scottish Television, came and filmed us. I was in the background shoveling snow, and Archie was in the foreground being interviewed, going on about capitalism feeling. So that's probably why I've got this in the background. But as you can see, it's very hot. It's very Mediterranean and very almost male Bermuda shirty, with the three Afro women / men or beings, not too sure. So I'll just paint a little bit and then I'll switch off the video, and maybe I'll get back to it another time and find out what on earth happens to this bizarre piece that I'm working on at the moment. Yes, let's watch paint dry. So I'm using acrylic, wet acrylic mixed a little bit with acrylic glaze that I bought, and it's actually made it quite soupy and thick, which is nice. Almost like the good old days of lead white, which is now banned because it made people go mad or poisoned them or something of that ilk. Probably pushed Turner off with mortal coil, used a lot of it in his day. Anyway, it's probably enough of me painting and you watching paint dry. So I shall say goodbye. Hi, welcome back. I'm in the studio again, and I think the last two films that I made were of this piece here. Now, let me zoom in a wee bit, if I can. No, I can't. That's a question. In that case, if Muhammad can't come to the mountain must come to Muhammad. Right. As you can see, it has changed. The foreground that I started off with a few outlines of flowers have now become quite complicated, textural. The glazes that I mentioned earlier I haven't used. I've used flattish colour, spray paint and hand painted to get this kind of wall of colour. The three Afro women, my three graces, have become more cohesive, and I think for the first time I usually paint stars white and then I paint them colourfully, different colours. I think in this instance, because there's so much happening all the way around colour-wise, I think white is the way to go, and hopefully it will fade over time and it'll become translucent and there'll be a bit of texture going on in those white stars, which is what I want. The faces of the women or men, beings, I'm not sure about yet. I'm not sure. I'm contemplating actually drawing them in at all, which would be very odd. But there's something pattern-esque about it that I like. The background here, I'm kind of getting this more or less where it needs to be. Up here, I need to get a different colour for the sky, blue, but I need to pick out, I need to sharpen, bring these, I think this is too big, this tower, Calton Hill, remember I mentioned. This tower is too tall, too thick, I need to refine, I need to bring lots of detail in the trees, and I need to blend this pink and this pink here, so there's a softer edge, there's a sudden starkness. There's too many tram lines, so I'm breaking them down as I go up. So I'm just going to conclude this little film with me painting. Now, you think, yeah, just fill in the stars, but because you want the eye not to look straight at the star, you want it to kind of dapple. Do you go right up to the edge? Do you not go up to the edge? Do you use opaque paint? Do you use more translucent paint? It's all a very subtle way of doing it. It isn't just filling in the shape, because that it wouldn't work, bizarrely. So dappled, going over the line in places, maybe going to right to point to make the star look a little bit more sharp. It's a lot more refined than you would imagine. Yeah, and as I said before, I'm still using acrylic paint. Okay, I think I'll sign off. I think the next time I show you a film, it will be its completion. And then hopefully you've seen it beginning, it middled, and hopefully it completed. Okay, speak to you soon. Hello, it's Michael Warbeck again. This is the final film in this painting, this small acrylic piece that I've been working on. It is 99.5% finished. I'll possibly, I will definitely leave it, but I will look at it for the next few days. I'm thinking maybe defining the face of these creatures a little bit more with brown and leaving the black outline. So that's something I think I'll work on. But I think it was a bit of a battle with, I mentioned in an earlier film about the tram lines, and I was going to blur them out and I was going to use glazes etc down here, but I've decided not to do that. So there's some painterly bits in the sky, but from a distance it reads as flat colour because it is quite a graphic piece, but ever so often there'll be a little bit of dappled light, tone for the want of a better word, The colour travels all the way through. This silhouette was a problem because the pink was quite dark and the sky was quite dark, and obviously when you've got a silhouette, usually the background's lighter, so you have a light tone and a dark tone, and that creates the illusion of flatness, which is a silhouette. So what I did was I mixed a lighter blue and I kind of picked out the silhouette. So it looks more like a silhouette, the sun behind, the light behind. But I've left some of the blues in the sky to kind of get a nice bit of warmth. I think I need to bring some of this up to here to kind of move the eye from the bottom bit to the top. I've not got too anal about the outline of the trees. I've left that quite impressionistic and quite calm. The moon slash sun, probably sun, it was a moony colour before it was blue. I've now made that more hot. The three Gracies, the three creatures, the three things, I think I've decided more or less not to draw the face. I quite like the kind of the abstract quality of it, and it's a foil to all of the other colours. I think the painting now moves up as well as out, so I think it kind of looks uniformed. I've given it a glaze of matte medium just to kind of bring out the colours, because some of the acrylic was maybe slightly more watery than the others, and I want the colours to be quite deep and thick. This went through many metamorphoses, painting and completely painting over it, which is in some ways a waste of time, but I think you don't know what you want really until you get to it, and that's some of the things I said in earlier films about how I thought it was going to pan out, haven't really panned out the way I thought they would pan out. So this bit here, there's many layers. I think you probably recognise it from other films, but these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 orchidey type plants, I think I've kind of stopped it being unresolved. For me now it feels resolved. I kind of feel it's working. The stars already are starting to fade down a little bit, and within the flatness, like in this video you'll probably see flat white, but in real life, this is why you should always go to a gallery. In real life, you see the nuance, you see the tones, you see the little bit of hairs in the paint, all that kind of reality. I love to do that because in the future somebody else is allowed to do that, but I get to touch my canvas all over. I haven't thought of a name yet, but it is like my first wake-up call to Edinburgh. Outside the window here, I don't know if you can see it. It's a beautiful sunny day. It's been a revolting summer thus far. We've had moments of divineness, but predominantly rain. So this is my feeling for being back in Edinburgh, which is a little bit more sunny and bright and cavalcady. So I hope you've enjoyed the three films. I've posted excerpts on my social network, the many chapters. And this I will compile into one film, and I'll put it out on something. I can't put it on Instagram because they've got a 15-second limit, which is a bit of a shame. But I will put it on something. Follow me on Michael Warbeck Art on Facebook, or Michael_Warbeck on Instagram. Okay, coke. Hopefully I'll start another painting soon, and I may make another film. Who knows? Anyway, for now, I'll sign out. Bye. In the end, I called this piece Calton Hill, Sirens.